Okay, so this is day 2 of my going through Adobe After Effects and going through that. And today was a lot of animating text, moving text in and out, and doing a the end project was a little video where you had to bring in some information on pollution and using the various techniques. There are lots of keyframes, and so learned a lot about that. So learned a lot about keyframes, and it was interesting. I mean, a lot of tedious stuff that you have to do. You got to make sure everything's right and coming in right. You basically have 3 stages. One, the way he taught us. First stage is you design it, you make the final, what it's supposed to look like once it's animated. Because we're talking about animations where you bring in information, and that's the whole thing. Kind of like when you watch the news and they, bring out a thing, so-and-so expert on X, Y, and Z, or whatever it may be. And that's kind of the thing. And then you go back and figure out how you're going to animate, how you're going to bring this stuff in. And I'm going to put tag this video on at the end of this. There was one video, the last video we had to make, where you bring in, like I said, a bunch of information on pollution, and the last piece was a little chart that had a background, and it had a little bar chart type of thing going on, and then 35 percentages and year and so on. And a couple of ways, and this is one thing you'll learn about After Effects or any of this. There are multiple ways of doing things. In this case, you could use, you could probably bring it in by increasing the percentage, and that may be the best way to do it, because you don't have to create any additional layers or anything. I want to see if I can do it using a technique called, that I mentioned yesterday, called track mapping, where I put a layer above and then exposed the information. So I did it that way. It probably was not the best way, and one of the things I'm curious about is how much you have to concern yourself with resources in doing this animation thing. I do know from watching, and if you're interested in animation, particularly 3D animation, go to the School of Motion's YouTube site and look for the, I think it's like 8 or 10 videos called Giants, and how the gentleman who's in charge of School of Motion, how he created this short piece, and what a big, there's a lot of work involved, and he talked about how he planned it out, his idea, how he took that idea and drew it out, how he did it in simple things initially, and then turned around and, realized it. And all the work was involved, going from, a simple model to an actual model that looks like a building, and how he animated certain things going on, and can't recommend watching that long enough. Strong enough if you're interested in animation. And one of the things he mentioned in there was how he was trying to figure out how to do things, because when you get into that kind of stuff, where you're dealing with 3D and Cinema 4D, you know, the app you use with Cinema 4D. When you're getting into that kind of stuff, you're getting into heavy, heavy, heavy computing power to render the thing. In fact, they have render farms where you companies who you send the stuff to, and they will render it for you because they have like a computer farm, essentially, a whole bunch of high-powered machines. You know, it's beyond what you can do on your desktop when you get to that level. So, like I said, can't recommend that enough if you're interested in that topic. But like I said, this was interesting. Definitely learning a lot. Going through the exercises really gets you comfortable with the software, gets you, you know, learning different techniques. For example, one of the things is how to reverse the animation. So we did one exercise where you brought some stuff in, and then you were gonna get rid of it, make it go back. So, let's see. I'm looking at let me bring my mouse here. I am looking at, okay, do it this way. So the next thing on the agenda is working with compositions, layers, videos, and composition editing techniques. So they're going to talk a lot about doing composition, spatial and temporal interpolation, so motion, path, reveal with track mats and pre-comps. These are the next sections coming up. Don't know how much I'll get through tomorrow, but we'll give it a shot. We'll see what we can do. And that's it. And you'll see the little video. Like I said, nothing terribly exciting, but there was a lot of keyframing, a lot of figuring out timing, etc. that went into that. So again, this is the end of day 2, and I will speak to you tomorrow.